Just in, the vote has passed. I have all the details and what this means right here in the video, so let's get right into it. Alright, now this is an important topic that we've been discussing here on the channel for the last few months. In fact, I was just out a couple days ago in a separate video talking about how they're going to be holding a vote this week on this $1.5 trillion bill. Well, they just held the vote and it passed. So let's get into it and talk about what this means and all the details of this because we're approaching some deadlines pretty rapidly. Therefore, let's get into all the details. However, really fast before we do, thanks so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe right down below the video as it's totally free to do so. And I'm here for you right by your side each and every day, watching the latest details hitting the wire and breaking it all down into these short videos so you can stay posted on what's actually happening and how it may impact you, your money, your benefits, your lifestyle, your bank account, and of course anything popping up right now you can possibly grab and or take advantage of. So again, I'm here for you no matter what. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so, and let's get into it and talk about the bill that they just voted on and passed and what this actually means going forward. As like I said, we have some deadlines that are approaching very rapidly here, and I do know that there are a lot of you here in this community wondering what does this mean going forward, especially for those people receiving fixed income benefits administered by the Social Security Administration. About 70 million people wondering what's going on here, okay? So let's talk about the details of this because this is actually a little bit interesting, and like I said, just a little while ago, they held the vote in the House of Representatives. It passed 217 over 215, and it now goes to the Senate, okay? So let's talk about the details of this. So this is in regards to the $1.5 trillion debt ceiling increase that Kevin McCarthy introduced last week. Remember that? So it was exactly 1 week ago on Wednesday, Kevin McCarthy came forward and he introduced a $1.5 trillion increase to the debt ceiling between now and the end of March next year, whatever comes first. So basically pushing out the debt ceiling by that maximum of $1.5 trillion in exchange for basically cutting back on a lot of spending over the next 10 years for the federal government. Well, this is actually interesting because over the last week, we've been hearing all this information coming out suggesting, is it going to pass? Is it going to fail? What's going to happen with this? Well, like I just said, it passed by a very, very slight margin in the House of Representatives. Now it goes on to the Senate. However, the name of this bill, which by the way, if you want to look it up, is called Limit, Save, Grow Act. So that's the name of it if you'd like to look it up, or that's at least what they're calling it, Limit, Save, Grow Act. Okay, so feel free to look that up if you'd like to. But anyway, now it goes on to the Senate. Here's what they're now suggesting as far as what's going to be happening in the Senate, most likely, according to Chuck Schumer and what's going on over there, okay? They're suggesting it's going to fail, for sure. That's what they're saying right now, is there's not a chance that this thing will pass in the Senate. Well, then why did they pass it in the House? Why are they even wasting their time with this thing if that is the case with this? Here's basically what it comes down to. It opens up the door for negotiations between the House and the president, the administration, with the debt ceiling deal, okay? That is what this whole thing comes down to, is the debt ceiling. Now, again, remember a minute ago, I just said how some important deadlines are rapidly approaching? Well, it's true, okay? I'm going to talk about that more here in just a second, okay? Because some deadlines are floating around out there. In fact, I was just out with another video yesterday talking about the most recent data coming out of the IRS and how much money they collected on April 18th, which, by the way, if you didn't see that video, you should probably check that video out. It's pretty interesting. I'll give you a little hint. They collected over $100 billion in one single day. Not a bad payday, right? I think all of us would probably agree that'd be a pretty awesome payday, right? Could you imagine $108 billion flowing into your account in one day? Well, that was the reality for the United States Treasury about, what was that, a week ago? Was that a week ago now? I think a little bit over a week ago was tax day. Anyway, I talked about that in a video yesterday. I published that video. But anyway, so yeah, check that one out if you're interested in checking that out. But I will talk about that more here in just a second. But my whole point is, okay, so if this is all about the debt ceiling and it passed through the House and it has no chance in the Senate, and even if it does have a chance in the Senate, for some weird reason, let's just say it passes through the Senate, the administration, as in the president, has already indicated veto. Okay, so he already said he's going to pull out his big rubber stamp and say veto right on the paper there. Okay, so we'll see what actually happens here in the Senate, but it looks like the next line of defense, in other words, the Senate, is probably not going to pass this, okay? But we don't know. That's where it goes next. Again, that's why they hold the votes, because you never know until they're all put on record to see, are they going to pass it? Are they going to, fail it? What's going to happen here? So again, I will keep you posted on that. But why do we care about this? Okay, we're talking about a $1.5 trillion increase to the debt ceiling, basically between now and the end of March next year. Why do we care? Why does this make a big difference? Here's what it comes down to. For the most part, we care because in the event that the United States defaults on our debt, well, there's going to be a lot of different things coming out. In fact, Janet Yellen was just out yesterday, which, by the way, Janet Yellen is the Treasury Secretary. She was just out yesterday indicating that in the event of a default, as in the United States government runs out of money and they can't pay the bills anymore, basically this is going to destroy our credit rating here in this country, and it's going to raise the interest rate on our debt substantially, and it's going to cost the United States a lot more money. Not only that, she also indicated it's going to be very difficult for the federal government to pay benefits to Social Security and military families, things like this. So again, not a good situation, right? And like I've said before in other videos, this is a concern, but as of right now, please do not be concerned about this if you are a fixed income beneficiary, as in your benefits are still going to arrive. However, that's also something we got to talk about, because in the event that they do not come together on a deal on the debt ceiling, well, that's going to be a whole nother conversation. And like I've said it before in other videos, please don't worry about it right now. We're out at least maybe like 2 months, okay? So it's not that long. Well, to be fair, what is this? What are we? In April, May? Yeah, we're out like 2.5, maybe 3 months or so, based on the most recent information. Okay, now let's talk about the deadline that I indicated earlier, and I want to bring you more clarity on this. Okay, so Janet Yellen mentioned, maybe 2 months ago or so, that we'd be running out of money here in the United States in early June. Okay, that's like 5 weeks away right now. Okay, I'm recording this video on, what's the date today? 26th of April? April 26th, I believe, is the date today, okay? Wednesday is the day. All right, so anyway, my point is that's about 5 weeks away from right now, give or take, obviously, a little bit, but about 5 weeks away. But since the United States Treasury collected $108.47 billion last week, again, not bad. Seriously, $108 billion in one day. That's a lot of money that I think all of us would wish that we could possibly have deposited into our accounts one day. But my point is, they collected $108 billion last week on tax day, April 18th. Well, as a result of that, now they have a little bit more money. They have $252 billion in their account as of about a week ago or so. Okay, so basically what this means is now the deadline on a potential default in this country has now been pushed out from early June out until sometime probably in mid to late July. Okay, it pushes it out by about a month to month and a half or so, give or take. Possibly, if they play their cards right, maybe out until early August. Probably not, though. Let's just call it mid to late July. Okay, that puts us like right in the middle of summer. Oh, my favorite time of year. Anyway, love it. You know what I mean? Turn up the heat. Anyway, long story short is basically this much. We have a little bit more time, okay? So the timeline went from about 5 weeks from right now, early June, out until about mid to late July is when we could potentially be looking at a default. Why do we care? It gives Congress a little bit more time to drag their feet, to procrastinate, and to come together on a debt ceiling deal. Okay, now here's the thing. Do we all think they're going to come together on a deal tomorrow? No. Next week? No. Next month? Maybe. Maybe. Here's why. They're potentially drawing down the clock on purpose because they know the more that they draw down the clock, the more negotiating power that they have, okay? So that's why I said this before. I've been saying this for a few months now. They are purposely going to draw down the clock. It's just like a sports game, right? Now, again, I do not know anything about sports, but I do know in some sports, they purposely draw down the clock because if they're in a position where they're a few points ahead, hey, if we can draw down the clock, we know that we can wrap this thing up and we can win, right? So same thing with politics, and the same thing they're going to do here is they're going to try to get as close as they possibly can to that debt ceiling, limit where they're all possibly going to default, and then they'll come together on a last-minute deal. That's my prediction. That's what I anticipate. Now, again, is this fair to the American people? Not really. But this is what they're going to do. Because why did they do this? Because they don't care. It's all about negotiations, right? Now, here's the thing. It's all politics. It's all a big old game. It's all negotiations, okay? So anyway, long story short, I want to say this much. If you're a fixed income beneficiary and you're worried about your benefits not arriving, don't worry about it. Please don't worry about it right now, okay? Like I said before in other videos, if we get out to late May, then let's start having a different conversation. But now I'm going to change my tune on that. And the reason I'm changing my tune is because the IRS just collected $108 billion. So now that gives them a little bit more money to push them out for another month, month and a half or so. So now I'm going to say this much. If you're a fixed income beneficiary, if they do not have a deal by, say, I don't know, late June, if they do not have a deal, let's just say the 4th of July. Not bad. My favorite holiday, 4th of July. If they don't have a deal by the 4th of July, well, then my tune on this is probably going to change a little bit, okay? And the reason I'm saying that is because now we're getting really close to that deadline, as in the Treasury is going to be fresh out of cash. You know how that is? You look at your bank account, you got $3.62, and you think, I have like 3 more weeks to go until I get paid again. Can I make this happen? And all of a sudden, you get closer and closer to that deadline, and then you realize, now I'm down to 3 cents. Can I make it here for the next couple days? You know how that is? Running out of money? Yeah, it's the same thing with the United States Treasury, okay? The same old situation is going to happen. So let's just push it out until, say, the 4th of July. You know, whether it's late June or 4th of July, honestly, it's probably going to be about the same no matter what. But that's what I'm going to say now is, okay, we push this thing out about, 5, 6, 7 weeks or so, from early June to about mid-July, as in that's when we might need to go into panic mode, as in maybe they're not going to come together on a deal. We don't know yet. Again, I'm not here to instill a fear in anybody, but I am here to bring you the real, the honest, accurate, reliable, and transparent information in these videos, and I want to be real with you what's going on, and this is what's happening, okay? Anyway, it's going to be a little bit longer here, but the moral of the story is we have a little bit more time. And we know that based on the video that I brought you yesterday, the tax revenues that the IRS got into the Treasury, things like this. And again, why they passed this $1.5 trillion debt ceiling limit deal. And again, what this means going forward. So we'll see what this does with negotiations, but this just passed a short time ago in the House. Again, if you want to look it up, it's called Limit Save Grow Act. Just passed $1.5 trillion in the House short time ago. Anyway, I was out with you a few days ago with that video saying, hey, they're going to vote. And again, here they just did it. So just want to bring you this information, let you know what's going on here. Again, I'm going to continue watching all of this closely. It's going to fail in the Senate, okay? Don't be surprised when I come back in a video at some point and tell you it failed in the Senate, okay? We're anticipating that. We pretty much know it's going to happen. So it's not like going to be a huge surprise when we get that announcement. Anyway, want to bring this to your attention and talk through the details of this, what it means as a fixed income beneficiary. Please don't worry about this right now. Let's let it ride for the next, May, June, like the next, I'm going to say, 8, 9 weeks or so, okay? I had to kind of figure that in my head really quickly, like, how many weeks away is that? It's about 9 weeks between now and the 4th of July or so, okay? Obviously, give or take a couple days. Let's let it ride for the next 9 weeks. Okay, of course, I'll keep you posted as we continue to go here, and as I get more details on anything, I'll bring it to your attention right away. Basically, anything that I see that is important enough to talk about, of course, I'll bring it to your attention. Other than that, there's a lot of noise out there, and again, we'll kind of sift through all that. Anyway, hope this one helps you. Again, please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel. Thanks again. I appreciate it. Enjoy your evening, and